15 people. Lawyers, members of parliament, journalists handpicked because they made their living tearing weak stories apart. Mahatma Gandhi himself put them in a room with one job: prove a little girl from Delhi was lying. 1936 India had never seen an experiment like it. By the end, those 15 hardened skeptics signed their names to a conclusion that should have been impossible. And it all came down to one empty hole in the ground that nobody could explain away. Her name was Shanti Devi, born in 1926. Most kids that age are learning their colors. She was describing a marriage, a household, and a death. She told her parents she had a husband, a home, and a son in a town called Mathura, more than 140 kilometers away. And she said something chilling for a child, that she had died 10 days after giving birth. At first her family did what any family would. They laughed it off. A toddler's imagination, nothing more. But Shanti didn't grow out of it. The details didn't fade, they sharpened. She used words and pronunciations from the Mathura dialect, a way of speaking no one in her Delhi household used. Where does a child learn an accent from a city she's never seen? By 6, she tried to run away. She wanted to walk to Mathura, to the husband she insisted was real, grieving for her. Imagine that, a first grader convinced her true family was mourning her in a city she couldn't point to on a map. She named her husband too. A merchant. And the name she repeated, over and over, was Kedarnath. Here's where it stops being a cute story. Her school headmaster got curious. Instead of dismissing her, he wrote a letter to Mathura, to a merchant named Kedarnath, the exact name the girl kept saying. And the reply that came back made the hair on his neck stand up. There really was a Kedarnath in Mathura. And he really had lost his wife. The wife's name was Gandhi Devi. She had died in 1925, 10 days after giving birth to a son. Every detail the girl had blurted out as a toddler, a stranger 140 kilometers away had just confirmed in a letter. Same town. Same profession. Same cause of death. Same 10 days. Shanti Devi was born a little over a year after Gandhi died. Kedarnath didn't believe it. Of course he didn't. So he set a trap. He sent a relative to Delhi first, to watch the girl without revealing who he was. Then he came himself, but he introduced himself as his own brother, to see if she'd be fooled. A grieving widower testing a little girl. And what happened next is where the skeptics started to lose their footing. The moment Shanti saw him, she froze, then broke down. She didn't buy the brother story for a second. She recognized him as her husband. Then she recognized the little boy he'd brought, Gandhi's son, the very child she said she had died giving birth to. She knew private things. Details of their life together that no outsider, let alone a child, could possibly have known. Word spread fast. A girl in Delhi remembering a dead woman's life, recognizing her widower, naming her son. In 1935 India, that's not a quiet rumor. It climbed all the way to the most famous man in the country, Mahatma Gandhi. And Gandhi did something most people wouldn't expect from a spiritual leader. He didn't just believe it. He decided to test it. Gandhi assembled a commission, and not a soft one. 15 people, respected lawyers, members of parliament, national leaders, prominent journalists, men chosen for their reputations and their skepticism. These weren't mystics hunting for a miracle to confirm what they already wanted to believe. They were exactly the kind of people whose entire careers depended on poking holes in a story. And the plan they came up with was simple, and it was brutal. They would take Shanti Devi to Mathura, a city she swore she remembered but had provably never visited, and watch her every move. If she was coached, she'd slip. If she was guessing, the odds would crush her. Every street, every face, every word would be recorded. No leading questions. No hints. Just a child, and a city full of strangers who might be her old family. But before they even reached the city, something happened on the train. As the carriage rolled toward Mathura, Shanti's face lit up. She turned and said that by the time they arrived, the temple doors would already be closed for the evening. A small thing. Except she was right. And it was the kind of detail you only know if you've lived somewhere, the rhythm of a town's days. Then came the platform. Crowds everywhere. The commission watched as Shanti scanned the faces, and stopped on an older man in traditional Mathura dress, a man she had never been introduced to. She identified him on the spot as her late husband's elder brother. His name was Babu Ram Chaubey. She was right again. The observers later admitted they were stunned, and it kept going. They put her in a horse carriage and deliberately told the driver nothing, no destination, no directions. Shanti directed him herself. Turn here. This way. She guided them through streets she had supposedly never walked, calling out landmarks before they came into view, and even pointing out buildings that had changed since Lugdi's death. Here's where it gets really hard to explain away. She picked her father-in-law out of a crowd of bystanders, correctly. She repeated specific words he had once said to Lugdi. She walked into the house and described how the furniture used to be arranged, before it was moved. She pointed to jewelry and said which pieces were hers and which belonged to Kedar Nath's new wife. Each test, she passed. The room kept getting quieter. Then the commission asked the question they thought would finally trip her up. Lugdi, they had learned, was supposed to have hidden some money in the house before she died. Did Shanti know anything about that? Without hesitating, she walked to a corner of a room and pointed at the floor. Dig here, she said. That's where I buried it. So they dug. About a foot down, their hands hit something solid, an old-fashioned floor safe, a small buried strongbox called a gala, sitting exactly where she said it would be. The whole room held its breath. They pried it open. And it was empty. No money. No jewels. Nothing inside at all. For one long heartbeat, it looked like the skeptics had finally won. The girl was simply wrong, except she wasn't. Kedar Nath went pale. Because he knew something the others didn't. After Lugdi died, he had quietly dug up that box and taken the money for himself. He'd never told a soul. The girl hadn't been wrong about the money, she'd been right about hiding it. The only person who emptied that box was the husband, and now he had to admit it out loud. Think about what that empty hole actually proved. She knew there was a box. She knew where it was buried, down to the corner of the room. The only reason it was empty was a secret the widower had kept for 10 years. A coached child fakes a treasure that's there. She described a treasure that was gone, for the exact reason only the real Lugdi could have known. In 1936, the commission published its report. Their conclusion, Shanti Devi was, in their judgment, the reincarnation of Lugdi Devi. Not everyone agreed. A researcher named Bal Chand Nahata pushed back hard, arguing the evidence didn't prove past lives at all. The debate never fully closed. Decades later, the famous reincarnation researcher Ian Stevenson came to interview her himself. Shanti Devi never married in this life. She said the husband she remembered was the only one she ever had. She died in 1987, interviewed one last time just 4 days before the end, still calm, still certain. And that's the buried object I promised you, an empty box that proved her honest, because the only man who could empty it finally confessed he had. So here's what still keeps people up at night. If a 4-year-old can lead grown skeptics to a strongbox she was never alive to bury, what exactly do we forget when we're born? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button. See you in the next video.